are riding aboard with PHG Jazam or Juzam.
Jazam!
Juzam!
That's how I say it.
The lights are on. Round 1 of the NRL Season 4 is underway.
And away we go in round 1 of the Division A Saturday heats.
I highly doubt anybody's going to jump the start, and they are off.
Green.
Lights out, and away we go. Grid start, of course. I'm not expecting too many moves. Well, I'll say that. Cyrus Nicky up the inside. Looks like Spawn is eyeing up a move on Super Uber as we come out the tunnel for the right-hand side.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful move.
Didn't look like any contact, and just understeered off into the rounds. That happened to me constantly. Nothing wrong with that, David. Oh my goodness!
So we'll see how we get. Oh, that is empty hop.
That's empty hop.
Oh my God.
Empty hop down to P6 now.
A little bit of a bump trap for Mando. Talon though, too wide with. Oh, Talon and Ando too wide coming into the chicane. Oh, that was almost ugly, but looks like they got through just fine. Woo! Well done, they're getting a little squirrely. Oh, coming into the outer loop, and looks like Ando forces his way in, and oh, a little bit of understeering. That might have been netcode, who knows? But Velvet Thunder is still able to hold on to P5 after all of that. My God!
Textbook overtake on Super Uber. I think it may.
Oh no!
No.
I don't think it's next.
No, it doesn't, because Super Uber's got the inside line for the next turn.
Wow.
Oh, will we be able to send it up the outside? Oh, that's really close, but not quite. Oh my God!
I'm gonna force him to go around the outside here. I think Lisa's gonna try to keep that same line that helped him out, but hopefully the guy learned the lesson.
Fantastic move from Kai. He was brave and he hanged it around the outside. Final lap of the race as he gets past the back marker of Russell there. And this is where it could get rather interesting. Got a bit of contact in the background as well. It looked like it was Cyrus Nicky or was it? No, it wasn't. It was Parquet, I think, in the background.
As we near the end of lap 7, going, oh, Salamander goes off, rally crossing. Oh my goodness! Contact from Rooster and Sal.
To neck pencil P2 will be Cyrus Nicky.
Oh, Parquet.
Got me Cyrus.
the track.
Parquet.
Coming into the penultimate corner.
True stand defensive.
Yep, true stand defensive.
Look at the outside. Look at this. Oh no! And the camera sneaks up there.
Oh, the camera! The camera takes away the true serum right out the gas! Hello and good evening, everyone. After a one-week break, we are back with the NRL sports season where we are now in our second round of competition. My name is Toon and I am accompanied by two good friends and broadcasting colleagues, Slow-Mo and Leo. Slow-Mo, we had a one-week break and it gave the drivers extra time to prepare for this arguably challenging round of racing. How are you feeling about this round of competition?
I am really excited to see some kart racing tonight, as well as some at a really good track from our A drivers. What a great combo for both groups that we've got tonight. This is going to be another round of exciting racing. Leo, what about you?
I'm in agreement, Slow-Mo, man. I'm stoked for this. I love the go-karts. I love the radicals. I love both tracks. It's very challenging for both of them, especially with small wheelbase vehicles, but it's going to be some exciting racing.
Right, I agree with you there. It's definitely going to be exciting nonetheless. But with all of that being said, let's dive right in and see what we have in store for tonight by first taking a look at the overall standings for the divisions. Starting with our Division A standings, we have leading the charge, La Cabra 809 with a resounding 25 points, followed by Chief Apollo 11 with 18, with WID rounding out our top 3, followed by True Serum, Talon rounding out our top 5, Purple Perp 44, Ando, PHG Shaggy Doo, MK, Velvet Thunder rounding out our top 10, And then in a 4-way tie for 11th, we have Dark and Azrael, BHR Pelias Pangolin, PDX Varial, and RWB Nav. Now, with that being said, let's go over to Division B, where we have Thumpy 2016 leading the charge for Division B with 25 points, followed by Racer 51 and PHG Bells rounding out our top 3, followed by Redneck C137, PHG Skellington rounding out our top 5, followed by Sugar Shuffles, Papa himself, PHG Salamander MN, Deputy Fishtail, Stumpy, and then in a 4-way tie for 11th, we have PHG Fenrir, Rowdy Rooster, Luis, and RWB Buckwild 76. Now with the standings out of the way, let's go and take a look at what Division B will be up against tonight. For round 2 of the NRL's Friday Division B race, we take a trip over to the land of the rising sun to Tsukuba for a karting excursion for 24 laps with a 5-minute qualifier, grid start with false start check. There's a strong chance of rain here, and since the karts only have 1 tire usable on them, everyone is going to have to drive extremely carefully. I don't know which way this race is going to go. Leo, Slow-Mo, I know you both have done a couple runs at this, but as you know, there's no tire wear, there's no fuel consumption, there's only 1 tire available, so this is gonna be tricky. Am I mistaken?
No, Tim, not at all. It's absolutely tricky. Now with the couple things that I've done, the couple practice runs that I've done, it wasn't. We didn't see any rain. So while it's possible, I don't know that we're going to see it. On the screen there, you'll see we've got our point allocations. Again, this is F1 style points. So the winner there of the race is going to get 25 total points added to their total. Second place 18, third place 15, and down the line from there. The individual with the fastest lap, so long as they're in the top 10 as far as the finisher goes, will also get an extra point. And all their points are accumulated together to try to get them that coveted spot in the grand finale.
Thank you for that, Slow-Mo. Now to the driver lineup for tonight's race. Racing for Division B will be Deputy Fishtail, PHG Skellington, Luis, PHG Papa, PHG Salamander MN, PHG Fenrir, Redneck C137, Thumpy 2016, PHG Bells, Sugar Shuffles, Stumpy, Racer 51, Rowdy Rooster, and RWB Buckwild. Listed under their names are their team affiliations or free agency, and also their social medias for YouTube and or Twitch should it be applicable. If you want to, go ahead and check out the channels listed above, and please feel free to show some support, but make sure to leave this tab open so you don't miss all of the racing action. Now, karts. Karts is a polarizing, it's a polarizing vehicle in GT. It's either you love them or you hate them. Leo, where are you at on that camp?
Oh, Toon, I absolutely love the karts. Essentially, since it is the basis of learning how to do motorsports, in my opinion. You learn how to trail brake in them. You learn how to accelerate without spinning out, because it is such a small wheelbase. It will spin you around so quickly. And then not a lot of assist can be used on them. I know in the game we have them, but in real life, in a shifter kart, especially a 125, there's not. It's either your foot, you go, or you brake. There is none of that, and you also shift them too. So they're quite tricky. Karts are, especially getting on curbs and stuff like that. It's dangerous, but if you can be quick in them, that's how you get even faster in the bigger cars.
All right, all good points to consider. And now we are going to take a look at qualifying, and we are currently following Racer 51, and it sounds like a swarm of angry bees right now. Racer 51 on screen is a part of Team Papa House of Game, driving on the Fanatec DD Extreme and getting cursed ready. The current standing in Division B is second place, and you can find him on YouTube at Racer_51. So, those clouds are looking a little foreboding. I'm going to just throw that out there as we see Racer 51 finishes. Oh, and we've already got somebody off in the grass. But Racer 51 starting his hot lap, coming into the first turn, hard brake, getting a little squirrely. A little squirrely might be a bit of an understatement, but it looks like outbroke himself just a little bit and also yielded for his PhD teammate in Thumpy to pass on through. Moving on up to the front of the pack, we have Deputy Fishtail leading this vicious swarm. And is that a cicada or is that a bee on the back of...
I'll go with a B.
I'm going to go with a B too, just to keep it on theme with this. Also, I would like to give a quick acknowledgement to William Lyons for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. All donations made during NRL broadcast will go into the prize pool to be divvied out at the end of the season to our finalists. So any super chat, super stickers, under the table money transfers, whatever you've got in your back pocket, if you so choose, goes right into this lead. Now moving over to Salamander, who is coming into the hairpin and actually holding it quite nicely. Current fastest lap right now belongs to Rowdy Rooster with a 1:362. So will we see a 59? Only time will tell, but looks like Sal is definitely gunning for a solid time right now. Coming into the next hairpin and yeah, using all the track available. Slow-mo, since you did a bit of driving on this as well as Leo, what was your impression of these cars?
I love the carts too. They're a ton of fun to drive. They're not very forgiving. If you make a mistake and you get yourself in that grass, it's going to take a second to get yourself back under control, back on track, and then get your tires clean. So the curbs aren't very friendly. But other than that, man, they're a lot of fun. Once you get your groove and you really kind of learn, where you want to hit your apexes at, you can really knock some laps out in this thing. I guess my question for Leo, I did some laps earlier, Leo. I know you did some too. Do you think we'll see anybody break that 1 minute mark?
It's an excellent question, Slow-mo. I believe we will see somebody doing it, either with them being in the draft or absolutely just full sending it around here, and after they figured out how to not use any brakes at all. But that's going to be a little challenging because unfortunately with a go-kart you've got to use the brake to turn.
Wait, hold on, did I hear that you have to use the brake to turn?
In real go-karting I have seen people use the brake to actually turn the cart, since it is such a small wheelbase and most of them don't have, I believe, either front or rear brakes. Your only braking power is either in the front or the rear. I can't remember 100% at this point in time, but I believe so, yes.
So the old adage, turn with your feet, is because of karting?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. But let's see how the standings are looking at the moment. So Bells comes across the line with a 1 minute 1.097. So looks like everybody's relatively close. Luis is only 0.04 of a second, give or take, behind Racer 51 and just barely over a tenth ahead of Redneck. So this is going to be a close race. But nobody has been able to go and take that pole position from Rowdy Rooster yet. And it looks like we're going to be nearing the tail end of this qualifying session. So if anybody's going to pull an upset, now's the time. Luis is also our defending Division B champion from the last season. And now we're going to jump on board with PhD Fenrir, who's coming across the line with a 1 minute 1.225. Fenrir is a part of our team Papa's House of Games as he crosses the checkered line and driving on the DD Pro, current standing in the tie for P11, but he is live on YouTube right now at Viking_Wolf73. And as all of these drivers are coming across the line, I'm seeing... Wait, hold on, I just noticed even Fenrir isn't even a second behind Racer 51, who goes and takes pole position at the last minute with a 1 minute 214. So if P1 through 7 is separated by not even, actually P1 through 8 is separated by not even a second, this is going to be interesting to see. But let's go and take a look at those classified results, shall we? So again, starting pole will be Racer 51, who set a 1 minute .214 at the last minute, knocking Rowdy Rooster into P2, who had a 1 minute .362. Followed by Deputy Fishtail with a 1 minute .393, rounding out the top three for our starting grid. And making our way down the order will be Thumpy, Luis, followed by PHG Redneck C137, Stumpy, PHG Fenrir Evil. Going over to P9 will be PHG Salamander MN, PHG Papa, PHG Bells, and then rounding out our starting grid will be PHG Skellington. And P1 through 11 is separated by not even a second. This is gonna be a close race. Would you agree, Slomo?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tight. You know, I don't know how much draft these guys are going to get from the carts in front of them, so that's going to be interesting to see. You know, honestly, I think you're going to see a pretty big pack for a lot of the race here.
What about you, Leo? You think it's going to be close, or do you think qualifying is an indicator of the race itself?
I 100% agree that the qualifying is an indicator of the race. I won't be surprised if we see 3 wide on a lot of these turns, which scary, but can be done since it is a go-kart. With the times being that close to each other, they're going to be stacked on top of each other.
All right, and now, Now let's go and see if this race is going to be as close as we think it is, as the lights are coming on. Grid start will follow start check, so got to make sure you don't jump that line. And everybody is revving the daylights out of their carts, just waiting for it to go off. And they are away for round 2 of Season 4's Friday Division B. And looks like they fanned out quite a little bit of movement in the back, but doesn't appear to be any major changes in position. But it's kind of comical seeing Racer 51 by his lonesome, and then everybody just gaggled up right behind him, just gunning him down. It's like running from an angry mob.
Yeah, he's the queen bee there.
Yeah, pretty much. But coming in through the hairpin and over to the Dunlop sign, looks like everybody's keeping it on track and doing a okay. Saw Rowdy. Oh wow!
Ooh.
We had Redneck go way off. What happened there?
Redneck's in 8th place now after that.
Oh my goodness. Now, I would also like to make note that Luis is driving a Splatoon kart. A bold choice, but PHG Skellington has jumped himself up to P9. And coming into the long right-hander for the last turn to get across the start-finish line. Looks like fastest laps are already coming in. Opening lap is a 105.691. Interesting. In turn 1, and Skellington drifts it. Okay, well, that's one way to send it up the inside. Wouldn't you agree, Slomo?
Yeah, drifting is an option. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Sometimes these carts are a little slippery, like I said, so they'll get out from under you if you brake too quick.
Yeah, that's definitely appearing to be the case. Now, Leo, as you're cycling through the grid, how's it looking on your end?
Well, looking like everybody's stacked together.
Ooh, we got one running wide, but just barely able to keep it on track, and that was Papa. Oh, another one might have just got off, I'm not sure. But we are now currently following PHG Papa, who is smack dab in the middle of this go-kart gaggle, and is actually holding quite nicely. He's got about a 1 1/4 second gap between himself and Luis, but also around the same amount of time between himself and PHG Fenrir. Oh, and Luis and Stumpy both get track limit penalties. PHG Papa, according to the driver card on screen, is part of Team Papa's House of Game, which he is the owner and proprietor of, driving on the Logitech G29, currently in P7 for the Friday Division B standings. And you can find him live on YouTube right now at Papa's House of Game, all one word. And Papa is, oh my goodness!
Oh no.
Okay,
Got on the curb and got him loose.
He really did, and it set him back quite a bit, but it looks like honestly, it could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
Making our way up to P3 and Thumpy, who is just under half a second behind Deputy Fishtail and is going purple right now. And Dumpy also currently has the fastest lap at a 1 minute point 401. Will he be able to make that? Yep, a 1 minute 231. So Dumpy is definitely chipping away at time. Dumpy is a part of Team Papa Talks Game, also on a G29, currently leading Division B for the Friday standings. And you can find him on YouTube at Dwayne Taylor 3258. And looks like Dumpy is definitely trying to find a spot to make an overtake on Deputy Fishtail, but looks like it won't be in that corner as they come into Dunlop. Will Dumpy try and go up the inside? No, he will not. He will stay single file with Deputy Fishtail for the time being. But they also have to be mindful of the fact that if they try and battle for position too much, Dumpy and Fishtail, that will give Racer 51 the opportunity to pull away and have a relatively quiet race. We're on lap 4 of 24. It's anybody's game. This is motorsport. Anything can happen, as you all have seen. And Dumpy is... Ooh, I thought Dumpy might have been trying to set up a cutback right there, but it looks like that is not the case. And coming across the line, and will Dumpy try and make his move in turn 1? No, he will not. Taking a wide line, Formula 1 style line, honestly. And it looked like if W. Fishtail left that door open anymore, he would have been able to kind of squeeze on in there and take P2. Wouldn't you agree, Slummo?
Yeah, I mean, Dumpy's in a tough spot right now. Keep in mind, these karts don't necessarily have brake lights on them, so, you know, you got to give yourself a little bit of room from the guy in front of you so you don't bump into him if he jams on the brakes. But, you know, you definitely want to give yourself a setup, and it looks like he's going to try and close the gap. Oh, we're on board with Salamander now, who is right behind Skellington, and, oh, yeah, we got a battle there with Sal, who's got a half second. Skellington and Bell's right up in front of him. And Salamander makes a nice move on the inside. But he's going to lose that place back here as soon as he serves. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, worst possible time to have to serve a penalty, because that would have been some great placing being made. Wouldn't you agree, Leo?
Yeah, that's unfortunately a bad spot to have the penalty line, because that's essentially your longest straight on this track. So especially in these karts, it will slow them down so much that anybody behind you will catch up very quickly, as we saw Papa in the background. He's already caught up to Sal.
Oh, we got contact between Skellington and Bells. Going around the turn there, Bells is in P10, but looks like no harm, no foul. Skellington was kind of coming in hot and maybe just kind of brushed up against the side of him.
Well, let's go and take a look at the replay and see what happened. So, as we see, Bell's in the Patronus livery. Nice nod.
There you go.
Yeah, looks like a little bit of contact and unsettled the cart, but it didn't cost Bells a lot of time, did it, Slow-Mo?
No, not too much. He got pretty lucky and stayed pretty well composed, and, you know, was able to keep it under control and get right back into line.
Now, oh, actually, Dumpy is still setting fastest laps left and right. Now we're down to a 1 minute point 199, and since this is a 24-lap race, I'd say consistency is definitely key here. And Dumpy is showing quite a load of consistency with being able to bring that time down further and further. Now, coming into the braking zone, looked like he got a little squirrely, running a teensy bit wide. And Leo, help me understand these karts, because you would think with how small they are, it's borderline impossible to get a track limits infringement. How deceptive are these little things?
Well, you know, depending on what view you're running it in, I mean, if you're on bumper cam, it's kind of awkward, honestly, in my opinion. As you can see, the camera that we got it on here would be the optimal one, because it actually is almost like you're sitting there in this cart. If you're doing it any other kind of camera, it probably might be really deceptive, because it is such a small vehicle.
Ooh, Papa just had a great run out of the first turn and might be able to make up 4 places depending on how he plays his card.
Yeah, and we're watching a great battle with the 4 in front of them there. I mean, those guys are switching spots back and forth.
Oh, Papa had another great
nice run.
It is now a 5-way battle for what? P6?
Yeah.
7 maybe, yeah.
Yeah? About 6 or 7? No. 57. Oh, we have a car off. What happened? Oh, and it was Salamander. Okay, let's go and take a look at what happened here. All right, so here we have Salamander coming in towards the Dunlop sign and getting on the curb, trying to avoid contact with Bells, and just looks like the cart, yeah, looks like the cart just got away from him.
Tried to overcorrect going when he was sliding out. You could see it on the back end of the cart just slide out on him. He tried to overcorrect, but can't do that too easily on these little machines.
That you cannot. Now, jumping on board with Racer 51, who's got about just over a 1 second gap between himself and Deputy Fishtail. Deputy Fishtail now has the fastest lap at a 1:1:191 and looks to be closing in on Racer 51 rather hastily too. Seems Fishtail was able to shake off Rowdy Rooster for the time being, but how long will that last? Only time will tell. And seems like Deputy Fishtail is trying to take the optimal racing line, getting a little squirrely for it though, so it might be slightly overdriving that cart, and that's definitely not what you want to do when you're trying to catch up to P1, especially as you're taking away chunks of time, as that gap is now just over half a second. So Deputy Fishtail is definitely well within slipstream range, is he not?
Roughly. I was going to say Deputy Fishtail got on that curb, and that's what caused him to actually turn the cart that way. Yeah. Did that a few times during the practice races. Was able to save it a couple of times, but I wouldn't suggest doing that anymore if you could.
No. I agree, because you only have so much luck, and you do not want it to run out towards the tail end of the race. But now jumping on board with Stumpy, who is currently trailing our defending Division B champion, Luis. The gap is just about 3/4 of a second and appears to be closing as we speak. Seems to be chopping away at about hundredths of time every inch. And it looks to me that Luis is also catching up to Rowdy at this moment. The Delta's teetering back and forth a little bit, but I think Luis might be able to make a battle for the podium. Plays his cards right. Judging by his lap times, they are pretty consistent too. They're all within the 1 minute realm, so I'm starting to think these drivers are really starting to find their rhythm. What about you, Leo?
I think so too, and I was actually just thinking of something too. We're in the closing laps when we get there. I'm pretty sure we're going to see these guys get extremely aggressive. Just if you're in range of the other cart, you can dive in on somebody real quick without them noticing. So
I would hope that they at least have some wherewithal. Otherwise, they're just gonna have to have a conversation with the stewards, and I don't think the stewards want another headache.
yeah, that's very true. I mean, it's also anything can and will happen.
You know what? You've got a good point. And here we have Papa, who is up into P6 now. Has a bit of a gap between himself and Stumpy, but Stumpy has gone down into P7 and seems to be hot on Papa's tail now that I'm looking at that Delta. And Stumpy had a great run into turn 1, and Papa made a great defensive maneuver. But how long will Papa be able to defend against Thumpy? Because Thumpy does have quite a bit of pace in him, and arguably Papa does too, but I don't know. Oh, hold on, those clouds are getting a little grayer, are they not? This might be an equalizer on the horizon. But for now, all the drivers really can do is try and focus on maintaining their lines, maintaining their pace, and trying not to go off into the realms. Seems Papa's actually leading a bit of a gaggle. He's got Thumpy behind himself, he's got Fenrir, and then moving on over, we've got Bells leading a small little pack. Actually, yeah, just him and Skellington at the moment. Skellington getting onto that curb and getting a little squirrely, but is able to save it. Very well done. Bells and Skellington have had some pretty decent battling throughout this race. That's only about just over halfway over now. So it's going to be anybody's game. And the gap between Fishtail and Rowdy Rooster is now set about 7.5 seconds. So Racer 51 and battling this out for quite a while, and Yeah, Rowdy Rooster might be hoping for the battling to slow them down a little bit. Coming into the last... Oh, go ahead.
You also might notice Deputy Fishtail went ahead and broke that 1 minute mark. He's got a 59.999 fastest lap up right now. And
hold on, we got Luis going around the outside for P3. Little bump into the wheels, but make it stick. Yes, Deputy Fishtail did technically get under 1 minute, as like close as you could get to under 1 minute, a 59.999. So I mean, well done to Deputy Fishtail on that. But looks like Rowdy Rooster has been able to retake P3 for the time being, and will Luis be able to capitalize and get that P3 back? Tires begging for mercy as they went around towards Dunlop. Coming into the next braking zone. Oh, and Luis sends it up the inside, but drifts it and is able to hold on and capitalize it. That is definitely a strategy, and gets a solid run even with the drift. Okay, well done to our defending Division B champ. Coming into the final corner for the 14th time of asking, will he be able to hold on to it? Rowdy Rooster's on the inside, and actually Rowdy the outside. And now they're going to be too wide coming into turn one.
What a move.
And we got it. What a play, but looks like Luis sets up for the cutback. Will it stick, though? It will not, unfortunately, so Rowdy will retake P3. It looks like all these heated exchanges have given Stumpy the opportunity to start closing on in too. Coming up towards Dunlop, Stumpy just sitting there, a spectator in this battle for P3. Actually, depending on how they do this, Stumpy might be able to make 2 places. Rowdy Rooster up in P3, now Luis up into P3. They are just dancing back and forth. This battle is far, far from over. And Stumpy is now caught up to Luis, and it's turned from over 1 second gap to about a quarter of a second gap. So we might see a 3-way bout for P3. Stumpy trying to send it up the inside as best he can, losing a little bit of traction on the last corner, but is still able to stay within earshot of Luis and Rowdy Rooster. Rowdy Rooster parking it on the apex for a moment and keeping Luis at bay. Coming in through the little SE bit and into the braking zone. Will anybody try and send it up the inside? It does not appear to be so. This is going to be a very, very good exchange for the battle for P3, because P1 and 2, they're off in a race of their own right now. This might be the battle to watch for at least a couple minutes. Now, Slow-Mo, you were having this kind of... Honestly, I don't even want to call it a battle, because the way they're dancing around each other, it's more of a ballet for P3. What would be running through your mind trying to get the overtake to stick?
Oh man, and ballet is one way to put it. I'd almost call it a tango, but if I'm in this position, I'm going to stay focused on hitting my line, hitting my apexes, making sure I don't miss my braking points, and keeping that cart on track. It's so easy to, kind of just forget about where you need to be and your cart positioning when you get worried about another driver. So, if that's me, I'm working on, what's my line? Where do I need to be? Can I get around him? Yes or no? And trying to be really calculated and cautious with my moves.
I got you. It looks like Luis might have an opportunity to set it up the outside. Does not actually appear to be the case. Rowdy is showing some amazing defensive driving right now. As they go too wide, Luis will get P3 yet again. Rowdy Rooster will fall in behind, but coming into the final turn, how's this going to shape up? Luis going on the inside, Rowdy on the outside. No, they're staying. Wow, Rowdy is staying tucked right on in, and Stumpy is just still enjoying the show back there. Ooh, and it looked like Rowdy might have slightly outbroke himself, or he was setting himself up for a wider line. That does seem to be a possibility for a viable racing line in these carts. Now, Leo, so we've got a 3-way header for P3, right? If you had to guess, do you think P3 will firmly be planted in Lewis's hands, Rowdy Rooster's hands, or do you think those two will get tunnel vision on battling each other and Stumpy will be able to make 2 positions in one go?
All the 3 of those are great possibilities. I mean, when you're battling like that, especially in these little carts, you're keeping your head on a swivel on the guy that's trying to pass you. As you see, Rowdy Rooster trying to go up on the inside on Lewis here, but he couldn't quite make it stick. Looks like he got the run maybe, but Lewis is going to have to defend as quickly as he can. If I was Stumpy, I'd be trying to just hit my marks like Slow-Mo said, but start putting pressure on these guys because we are starting to come to the closing laps here.
You are right. We only have 5 laps left, and it looks like Rowdy Rooster is able to get a stellar overtake done with what looked like a good send up the inside. Moving on up to the front of the grid, let's see how this is shaping up. Looks like Racer 51 has been able to shake off Deputy Fishtail at least just a little bit, making the gap 1 3/4 of a second. But that race is definitely far from over. Deputy Fishtail is still holding on to that fastest lap at the moment with the 59.999. And coming up, heading towards the start-finish line and setting a 1.398. Not bad whatsoever. Checking in on the proprietor of PHG, Papa himself, currently leading the charge and has PHG Fenrir about 3/4 of a second behind him. And looks like Thumpy has fallen back into P8, but looks like Papa's sitting comfortably in P, for the moment. Coming into turn 1, taking a wider line and bringing it on in, avoiding the curb as to not unsettle the cart. Now, back to the battle for P. Oh, and Stumpy sends it up and is now in the fray.
There we go.
Yeah, and while we were watching the other folks there, here we go. Looks like we're going to get a replay of it. You're going to see, I think it's Lewis run wide here. Yep, there you go. And Stumpy, oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Rowdy ran wide. Stumpy's able to slide by there, but he couldn't quite close that door, and Rowdy gets right back in after the next turn.
This is going to be a dead heat for the last 4 laps, as we see Stumpy currently in P4, but Rowdy Rooster setting up the inside to take P4 now. And Lewis was able to pull away just a little bit, but for how long? All 3 of these drivers seem equally matched in terms of pacing, so this is anybody's race to win or race to lose in terms of that last podium spot. Stumpy following neatly behind Rowdy Rooster for the time being and trying to make a move up the inside. Nope, just hitting his apex as Rowdy running a little wide. And Luis is starting to get smaller and smaller in this picture. Coming into the braking zone, and let's see who got the better run out of this. And it appears they both got about an equal exit out of that corner, so everything is going to be as is for now. As we come across the line to start lap 22. God, this is too close to tell, because one wrong slip and Lewis falls back into the clutches of Rowdy and Stumpy. Well, Rowdy Rooster and Stumpy. But if... Oh, go ahead, one more.
Dude, I was just going to add, Lewis seems to have found something all of a sudden. He was putting an average of, 100.8, 100.2, 100.1. And his last lap was a 100.5. And you can see he's almost got a 2-second gap on Rowdy now. So I don't know if maybe getting away from those guys and just kind of clearing his head helped him out a little bit, but he is taking off away from that pack.
You make a very good point. Now, speaking of taking off, it looks like Racer 51 has taken his leave of Deputy Fishtail for being, because that gap is 2 seconds and closing just a little bit. But yeah, it seems everybody's in the rhythm and on the penultimate lap for this race. Racer 51 is really just coasting at this point. I don't think he's really had any heated battles for position. Ooh, Stumpy running wide, dangerously wide, but
getting brave there.
Yeah. There's a fine line between brave and foolishness. I think Stumpy was just on that brave side. Coming into the bank corner, and isn't able to gain any more momentum on Rooster at the moment. But hey, this is a cracking race. Getting onto the curbs and bringing her on in. How is Stumpy going to go about this line? And holds it nice and neat. And it would also appear that the GT gods have been merciful and there will not be any rain. Because the sun is now coming out. We have a yellow on the play.
Uh-oh.
Will we see who it was?
I don't see anybody off track.
Same here.
Oh.
Hi, Bell. Looks like Bell's had a bit of a technical malfunction with the cart. That's very unfortunate to see, but glad to see there was no carnage. And jumping back onto Racer 51, who is going to head into the stages of this race. 1.5 second gap, and it doesn't look like Deputy Fishtail will have enough time to try and close the gap any further, so this race will be able to be comfortably won by Racer 51, barring any last-minute nonsense by Gran Turismo. And it looks like that will not be the case, so congratulations for the race win to Racer 51, followed by Deputy Fishtail. And it looks like Luis will also be able to comfortably finish, turning that gap into almost 3 seconds. My goodness, he got out of that battle and he just pulled away. And got 3 second penalty for once!
Well, hold on. No, I think what happened is, because Racer 51 was doing donuts at the finish line, he brought out a yellow flag for no passing. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think you should interfere with the remainder of the race just for doing a donut there, and I think that might be what happened.
Oh. Okay. Congratulations to Racer 51.
Yep. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was a great show of force. Oh, Yosemite Sam, classic. Pole position and clean race. Yeah, Racer 51 didn't skip a beat on any of that. Now, making our way over to the provisional standings. Let's go and take a look here. We've got Racer 51 taking the race win, followed by Deputy Fishtail, who also had the fastest lap of a 59.999. I thought it would be lower than that, but 999 is, well done regardless. Followed by Rowdy Rooster taking the podium, who took it off of Lewis, who I would say was robbed. I don't know about any of you. Followed by Stumpy running our top 5, followed by Papa in P6, followed by PHG Fenrir Evil in P7, PHG Thumpy in P8. Going over to P9, we have PHG Skellington, followed by Salamander MN, PHG Redneck C137, and PHG Bells. This was a very interesting race. Great battling, regardless. It was a great way to start out our second round of competition. Now, while we wait for our interviewees to come on in, so Leo, if that's what we're getting just in the Division B race, something tells me the Division A race is going to be of equal caliber. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I totally agree, Toon. 1, bigger cars. 2, more power, but same kind of small wheelbase. So they'll be able to go wheel to wheel a lot closer, a lot more comfortably than you would in the karts. Now, around that mountain, there's a couple of sections that are going to be quite tricky, I believe.
All right. Now making our way over to the interviews for this evening. We will start with Deputy Fishtail. Deputy Fishtail, how are you feeling after that race?
I definitely was sweating it the whole time. It was definitely intense.
Nonsense. You made it look easy.
Hmm.
So,
It comes out. Yeah.
so what was what's your feelings towards this race from the moment you realized it was Cuba like to now in that entire extra week of practice you had? Did your feelings change at all? Do you still have like your opinion and you're sticking to it? Tell us about it.
That's what I thought. It might be a real difficult if the rain did come in. Definitely, if you got the wrong conditions on RO3, it was really pretty nasty track and stuff. But it was one of those that the only way I could get the real nasty tracks is to actually put it all threes and stuff like that. So I was hopeful tonight that we'd end up with the conditions either that we had, that we stayed dry and just a little thread, or else that we had just the more minimal conditions to where it's almost that slick to intermediate switch, because that was actually a decent lap time still doing that. But the extra practice did help. So
Glad to hear it. Sloma, any questions?
Yeah, great race. You actually put up a sub 1 minute lap, which is really, really impressive. Tell us a little bit about your pace. I mean, you seemed like you had really, really consistent laps. Um, you know, what was the key to hitting that sub 1 minute best lap you put up for us?
well, I felt like I had to put one in at least in the race tonight. I'd put quite a few up towards the, I guess, the end of this week. I'd finally kind of conquered that somewhat with the gearing, and I felt like I was just driving the cart really hard. As you notice, it's like basically all the assists were on and stuff like that, and it was basically one where if it rained, I was good, but with really pushing it hard. The gearing was definitely a difference for me, where I had just that little bit more out of some of the corners and stuff. Overall, I was a little disappointed in my overall pace tonight, but getting the sub 1 minute was definitely a good deal in the race.
Yeah, congratulations on the podium.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right,
Leo,
do you have
what do
any
you have?
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Congratulations, Debbie Fishtail, on that.
Thanks, man.
Always fun to see you out there racing and stuff like that. During any point in the race, did you think, "Oh man, am I ever gonna catch him?" Or were you pretty much solid in what you thought you did?
It was like I felt like I had the chance to catch him, and I touched the curb just a little bit coming around that final turn once, and I couldn't. I mean, again, VR, it's like I can't tell who's behind me. I didn't want to switch it to the map to see if Thumpy was right there again. But after I almost bobbled it there coming towards the finish line, I figured it was like going to play it a little bit more safe and stuff. But it definitely, that was probably the point where I thought that I'd catch him. And then after that, it was more so maintain and don't get caught from behind.
Right on. Yeah, it's consistency was key with this one, I realized.
Oh, yeah.
And you definitely proved me right.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was like definitely had some closer battles and stuff with Thumpy. I was afraid that he was going to stay there and stuff, and that the slipstream did work a little bit there and stuff for sure. So once he just lost that portion of it, then I felt a lot better being able to pull out. So
Gotcha. Well, again, congratulations. Great job out there.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting it on. Great job for Tom's too.
Thank you. We appreciate that. You go and celebrate a very hard fought P2, and we will see what you have in store for the next round. So have a great night.
Thanks, you guys too.
Now, before we go into our intermission, I want to give a quick thank you to Luis for the $6.99 Canadian. Hugs and kisses to Rowdy and Stumpy for that amazing battle. It's all love here in the NRL. That's what helps separates us from everything else. Premier League, folks. But anyway, sit tight, go grab a snack, grab a drink, and we will be back at you after a brief intermission. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to round 2 of the NRL's 4th season. What a race we just witnessed, but we're not done yet. Before we get into the Division A racing action, let's go and take a look at the provisional standings for Division B. So, leading Division B for Friday is Racer 51, followed by Thumpy 2016. Now, running our top 3 will be Deputy Fishtail with 21 points. It's actually not that far of a gap between Thumpy and Deputy Fishtail, followed by a tie for P4 with 15 points between PhD Bells and Luis. Coming in P6 in the overall standings with 14 points, so definitely within earshot is PhD Papa, followed by Redneck C137 with 12 points, who is actually in a 3-way tie with PhD Skellington and Rowdy Rooster at 12, followed by Stumpy in P10 with 11 points, P11 going to Sugar Shuffles with 8 points, followed by PhD Fenrir with 6 points, followed by PhD Salamander MN with 5 points, and RWB Buck Wild with no points. So it's still anybody's game, but these points are definitely going to be a huge factor, especially because the division consolidation and eliminations will take place after the next round. But with all of that being said, let's go and take a look at the Division A Round 2 race details. Yes, that's right. We traveled around the world in record time yet again. From Japan to Switzerland, our Division A racers are at Eiger Nordwand in the reverse layout for 23 laps in the Radical SR3 SL 2013 with Sports Soft and Sports Mediums tires available with no requirements. They have a 25 times fuel or tire wear rate, 6 times fuel burn. There will be a 10-minute quali with a grid start with false start check and heavy damage. But moving on from that, let's go take a look at the point spread for Division A and slow-mo to tell you all how it works.
Thank you, Toon. So again, these are F1 style points. So the race winner is going to get allocated 25 points added to their total. Second place gets 18, third place gets 15, and then you see down below that we've got the remainder of them there. Only 1 through 10 get points in our race. And then we have a 1 point for the fastest lap as long as that driver finishes in the top 10. The top 14 drivers for Division A overall, so both days, are going to move on to the final.
Thank you once again, Slow-Mo. Now on to the driver lineup for tonight's Division A race. We have Chief Apollo 11, RWB Nav, Talon, PhD Shaggy Doo, The True Serum, Purple Perp 44, Lacabra 809, Velvet Thunder, MK, PDX Varial, BHR Pelias Pangolin, WID, Darken Asriel, and Ando. Listed under their names is their team affiliation and or free agency, and also their social media presence on YouTube or Twitch should it be applicable. Feel free to go and check out any of the drivers listed here, but make sure you leave a tab open so you don't miss any of the racing action. So this track. This is a track I can confidently say I have zero experience with. Like, never even looked at it. Leo, for the viewers at home, what are they in for?
Tune, they're in for some different elevations and everything in between that. You've got tight corners, you've got a pretty decently long straight, but the elevation changes are going to be what catch some of these guys off guard if they have not been practicing.
All right. And let's go and take a look at qualifying, which should be underway, and see how they adapt to this arguably tricky track. We're going to jump on board with Lacabra 809, who has left the pits and already up against the wall. Wow, that is not a gracious pit exit, is it?
No, unfortunately, this is a very tight track. I mean, it's a two-lane road, essentially, with walls on either side, and some of it has rock faces. So, I mean, it's very, very tight track. So passing is going to be kind of hard, but kind of not, I would say.
This looks like Highway 1's twistier cousin.
It essentially is, Tune. I mean, the switchback part that we were just on is pretty much like Highway 1, but a little tighter, I would say.
All right, as we jump on board with Velvet Thunder, who is now on his hot lap, getting a little bit of understeer and just narrowly avoiding disaster. Holding a tight line near the rock and coming into the braking zone and drifting it and not really making too much contact with the wall. Velvet Thunder is a free agent on the Fanatec DD+. Current standing for Division A is P10, and you can find him on YouTube and Twitch at Tuzzenbox. So this track is very much a you need to get into a rhythm kind of track, isn't it, Leo?
I would say so, and to your point, when we saw him go into the grass over by the pit lane entrance, that is actually a line that you would want to take because it is a straight path to the essentially turn one in this layout. Oh, as we see him go over the little hump there, catching a little bit of air.
Yep, and setting a 1:08.289. Very respectable lap time, if I might add. Jumping on over with MK and a very hypnotic Radical. Coming into one of, I'd say, a couple hairpins. Braking and trying to get a tight line. This elevation change looks so disorienting, just even on the camera. What would is it this disorienting to race in?
It can be, especially this reverse layout when you're coming down off of turn one into the bridge section into the start of the switchbacks. I would say that is the most difficult point to figure out where to hit the brakes, essentially, as we're seeing on screen now. If you go too hot into that, guess what you're going to meet, and it's that grass wall there.
All right, and now we jump on board with BHR Pelias Pangolin, who is part of Team Beehive Racing, driving on either a controller or a Logitech G29, currently P11 in Division A, and you find him Pelias for Pangolin. And it looks like Pelias is only 200th behind MK at the moment, coming across the line and jumping up into P9, just 4/10 behind Lacabra. Moving over to Purple Perp, who is sitting about a quarter of a second ahead of Talon, and not even 2/10 behind Wid, who is currently in contention for pole at the moment. Purple Perp is part of Team Beehive Racing, driving on a Fanatec DD Pro, and is currently sitting P6 in our Friday Division A standings, and is honestly just zooming around this track. Hear the turbo of that Radical kicking on up, and coming across the bridge into the braking zone. Oh, that slight downhill is definitely where I definitely see what you're talking about. Like that downhill portion of the bridge, because it's so abrupt. That would throw me off too.
Yeah, it comes up very sudden, especially if you're not paying attention or you got something else on your mind and you're like, uh-oh, there was my braking point 100 yards back. You're gonna, slam into that wall. And with the heavy damage on, that would greatly hurt these guys' lap times and or handling of the vehicle.
And there's also no ghosting too, which means anybody could be a cat. Now jumping on board with PDX Burial, who is a part of Go Instinct, driving on a controller, sitting at P11 for our Friday Division A standings. You can find him on YouTube at Varial Racing 227. Looked a little drifty coming around turn 1. Getting close to the ground. Oh, God.
Oh, I was gonna say they are on the sports soft tires, which greatly are. Let me take that back. They do act a little differently than the racing tires. A little less grip, but in these radicals, I feel like that is the perfect choice of tire.
Yep, and if any of these drivers have taken a gander at T-Case's Tuesday night lobbies, they should be very well with these sports tires. We jump on board with Talon, who is a free agent, driving using the Logitech G Pro wheel on G29. Only sitting P5 overall for our Division A standings for Friday, and is not even half a second behind pole. Is this going to be another one of those cases where we have a very, very close qualifier? Because it's really looking like it, and only 300th behind the True Serum. Okay, we're going to be in for quite the action-packed race if they're all qualifying this close together.
Yeah, Toon, and while you were saying that, Chief Apollo went ahead and put up a new fastest lap, 107.974. He is rocking and rolling around the course to jump on board with the True Serum.
Thank you for that insight, Slummo. Yeah, 107. Chief's the first person to break into the 107 territory, isn't he?
He is. And he actually went back into the pits for a fresh set of tires, so he's going to come out, do an out lap, and try and beat that 107.
Well, he has about 3.5 minutes to make it happen, so we'll see if we can see him plunge further into the 107s. We see the True Serum coming up on PhD Shaggy Doo up ahead. Luckily, this is qualifying, so they should be respectful. Chief Apollo giving way to Shaggy and the True Serum. Ooh, that looked a little dicey, but he was able to get the car stopped enough to turn it. Definitely would not have been able to do that myself. And Velvet Thunder comes across the line and takes the fastest lap again with a 1:816. Okay, we've already got at least some sort of a battle going on, and we're just in qualifying. We jump on board with Wid, who is currently P3 overall in our Friday Division A standings, who's also a free agent using the Logitech G9, very trusty wheel, and getting a little bit of a nudge with the wall, but also got him a little and back into the pits. Great call. Best to just get back in there and get out as fast as possible to try and capitalize on that time. We see Ando here, who is coming up on Velvet Thunder, and Velvet, of course, graciously letting the faster car through as to not impede a qualifying. Into the, you said it was the switchback section, Leo?
Yes, correct. Going into the switchback section, going on to this long straight, going over the hump there, catching a little bit of air. Let's see what he does here. Revs it out. Great job. Not pushing the tires overly, heating them up. Going down into the downhill S section here.
So turn one is one. So turn one's definitely a corner you want to watch. Assuming correctly.
Correct. One false move or over judging it or anything like that, you slam into that wall very quickly.
Okay. It looks like Ando's in a pretty good position right now, only 300ths off of La Cabra, and just found those 300s and then some, according to that time check. So we'll have to see if Ando can carry on the momentum. It comes through the switchback section. Oh,
no.
and into the wall and gets damage. And back out he goes for the last about 45 seconds of this quali. And jumping on board with Chief Apollo, who is actually in a very interesting position. Just a 1/10.5 separating him and Velvet Thunder, and almost 2/10 between him and Wid. So we might see a heated exchange throughout the race for this podium. But Chief Apollo is a free agent, and find him on YouTube at Boyd Gaming. He's currently sitting P2 overall in the Friday Division 8 standing. He's using the Logitech G Pro wheel and is brave enough to drive this circuit PSVR2 headset. My hat's off to you, Chief Apollo. I could not do it. Catching a little bit of air and coming across the line with a 107.978 thousandths off his fastest lap. That is ungodly consistency right there. It looks like we have hit the final lap for the qualifying session for Division A, so it's make or break time for some of these drivers. Luckily, Chief Apollo was able to get across the line fast enough to have another crack at that pole position. Will he be able to do it? First time check, down 200, so it's a coin toss right now, folks. Holding a wide line coming on out, carrying a ton of speed. Doesn't appear to be any records coming across for Chief Apollo, but hats off to him for the valiant effort because he is flying. And Purple Perp also takes P3. Oh, and there we go. He was able to find some time and go purple. Will he be able to carry that momentum though? Coming up towards the tail end of the switchback and onto the start-finish straight, giving it everything he's got and not double shifting. Interesting. And coming across 107. At the last possible moment to take pole position. I'm detecting a pattern here for season 4. Well done, Chief Apollo, with a 107.674. That is, it's amazing what these drivers are doing when it's crunch time. Now, Slow-Mo, what's going on in your end?
You know, I'm going through the grid here. I think everybody is done, if I'm not mistaken. I'm seeing hazards all the way up and down. Looks like we got MK in the pits. I think that is all of it.
All right, and with that, our qualifying session is, well, technically over. We saw some last-minute changes in position, and I'm getting the feeling that this won't be the last week of any of it. But moving on over to the classified qualifying results, we have Chief Apollo 11, who second took P1 from the hands of Velvet Thunder, followed by Purple Perp in P3, followed by Wid, Talon rounding out our top 5, S7R to True Serum, PDX Varial, La Cabra 809, Ando in P9, followed by MK rounding out our top 10. Making our way down the grid, we have RWB Nav, BHR Pelias Pangolin, PHG Shaggy-Doo, and then Darken Asriel rounding out our starting grid. Only a 2-second gap from first to P14. This, it's anybody's game. No ghosting, heavy damage, very twisty and bendy track. I do not see any drivers really getting a moment of reprieve and being able to, catch their breath, because this also does look like a relatively short circuit. Slow-Mo, any predictions for this race?
As I was watching practice, I was going to say Purple Perp was my pick, but it's hard to go against Chief Apollo watching him and Velvet Thunder. So I think Chief's going to be able to hold this one on. If I had to pick a dark horse in this, he's low on there, but Shaggy is going to be my dark horse. He's been quiet all season, and I think we're ready to see Shaggy make his way up this grid.
You know what? I respect it. What about you, Leo? Any predictions for this race?
Man, it's just like the go-karts we just had. All the times were so close. I mean, what was the gap that we saw? The largest gap, maybe? Maybe a second-ish?
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
Okay. And if I don't know, it's too close to call for me. If I had to pick someone, I'm gonna have to go with Polias.
All right, interesting choice, but let's go and get a look on the track and see how these predictions shake up then.
Leo, while they're getting lined up, I have a question for you. Do you see anybody, there's no tire requirement here. Obviously, we saw him run softs in the qualifying. Is anybody going to change from that soft compound tonight?
Slow-mo, if it was up to me, I would probably start on the mediums, go as long as I can, and then hop over to the softs just to outlast the softs, because it looked like even in qualifying we were seeing tire wear.
Well, let's see how it goes. They're all lined up. Lights are out, and they are away. Velvet Thunder misses the start and falls back in drastic fashion. Chief Apollo leading this gaggle of cars into turn one, and already has Purple Perp right up his chuff. It is just a swarm of cars coming around turn one. Everybody's got their eye on the prize in that illustrious P1. Everybody's trying to catch up as much as possible. And it looks like Chief Apollo might be able to start slowly pulling away. This is going to be a game of hitting your apexes and a game of consistency, folks. Chief Apollo holding a tight line, a defensive line, mind you, and already has 3 cars in tow just right behind him. That was a very interesting start, but it looks like several drivers were able to capitalize, and they're all bunched up coming into this switchback section. This is not going to be pretty if they do not keep their heads on a swivel. We jump on board with RWB Nav, who is kind of at the tail end of this swarm, a little bit of a bump from what I saw. But everybody's keeping it bunched up nice and neatly. It looks like out of that last turn, there was a slight break in the packs of cars. RWB Nav is now 2 wide with Dark and Asriel, and is also part of Team Red, White, and Blue Racing, driving on the Fanatec DD Pro, currently sitting in P11 for our overall Division A standings. And you can find him on YouTube at Nav Motorsport. Let's go and take a quick replay of that start. There we have all the drivers kicking off. Velvet Thunder must have had a delayed reaction, but was able to get off nice and neatly. And yeah, just gets stuck in this sandwich of cars. Oh, it gets a little swirly, but narrowly avoids the barrier. Very well done. Excellent show of racecraft. And it looks like the fun isn't over yet, as we see Velvet Thunder in P6, PDX Varial in P5, and is going too wide and gets it's a good run out of that corner. But will he be able to maintain that momentum as he's on the outside? Varial is on the inside. Oh, it's a lot of back and forth right now. Who is going to get the better run out of this corner? And it appears it will be Velvet Thunder to take P5. There's quite a bit of a gap between P5 and P4, but there's a lot of partying going on behind Velvet Thunder. Now, Slow-mo, as we're going through this race, who elected to start on the medium tires and who elected to start on the softs? Oh, Purple Perp has rear end damage too.
Yeah, Jim, Variel actually started on the mediums. Other than that, we've got La Cabra, RWB Nab, and Shaggy, who started medium. So there are a few people out there that elected to go on the medium compound.
Can't wait to see how that shapes up. Now let's go get a replay and see what happened to Purple Perp. So coming up into turn one, run a teensy bit wide, clipping the grass, but and just loses control of the car, but was able to get it to where the rear wheel was the part affected, and unfortunately fell from P2 all the way to P4, but there's still 20 more laps of racing, so that could turn around relatively quickly. And we're only on the 3rd lap, and I already see quite a bit of tire wear, so maybe those mediums were a strong call. But the question is, well, Leo, did you see any practice lobbies for Division A for Friday?
Toon, that's a great question, because I didn't see a single one. These guys have kept their times to the chest, not letting anybody see anything. I looked, and I know quite a few of these guys. the CPDX Virial going into the pits, and La Cabra.
Two of our
these
medium
guys,
runners.
these guys kept their practice, relatively to themselves. So I guess that way the competition couldn't see what they were up to, or the spies couldn't spy in on them.
I guess so. We can't even see if a no stopper on mediums is even feasible, which is unfortunate for us, but it should give us a ton of surprises. We jump on board with Dark and Azrael, who is currently ahead of Shaggy Doo and Pelias Pangolin, who the two aforementioned drivers were too wide, and Dark and Azrael loses control of the car.
He's down to P12 now.
He is. Let's take a look at what happened here. Comes across the bridge, going up the hill, and was it just a bit of power oversteer? What happened here? Got onto the grass.
He got dirty tires, yeah.
Yep.
That is unfortunate to see. But that will cost Dark and Azrael a little bit of time, but luckily there's still plenty of racing action to happen. It also looks like La Cabra has elected to go into the pits and just get onto the softs. I see that Dark and Azrael and La Cabra both had a change of heart, so hopefully they'll be able to start playing catch up here soon. Looks like La Cabra is trying to find an opportunity to make a pass on Azrael, which would make sense, seeing as how Azrael does have the damage. Will he send it up the inside? Oh, getting a little drifty around there. Getting door to door, leaving enough space for the other drivers. Excellent racing between these two. Now, it was La Cabra and Truth last season that did the too wide jump, was it not?
It was. You're correct, too. They were in the trucks at Fisherman's Ranch, I believe. And they went too wide over the jump.
I'd say that's a great way of showing that, hey, you can trust me if I went over a big jump in a giant F-150. As we jump on board with Ando, who is barely ahead of MK at the moment. Sorry, Slow-Mo, what were you going to say?
I was actually going to talk about the battle right here. These two have been just right with each other for at least the last 2 laps. And MK's peeked his nose up there a couple times, but just cannot seem to close the door and making his pass. Or, excuse me.
Also, it looks like Ando does have front end damage, and MK is able to send it up the inside. A little flashing of the headlights, maybe trying to distract MK. Coming into the braking zone across the bridge. Ooh, Ando getting a teensy bit squirrely. I don't know if that was because of the front aero damage or the slipstream, but hard telling. But MK was able to make the P8 move stick, and now we can focus on trying to take P7 off of Nav. Ando's getting pretty squirrely. That front aero damage must be playing a larger factor than I thought. Speaking of damage, Purple Perp still has the rear end and back driver or back left wheel damage, but is not letting it phase him. Currently sitting in P5 and not too far behind Velvet Thunder. So we might see some sort of exchange between these two drivers, but also looking at the tires right now, those softs are definitely being chewed through as they go around this circuit. We're only on lap 7 of 23, and Velvet Thunder's tires are definitely at about halfway to their expiration date. Coming up through the switchback section, Velvet Thunder is holding a solid gap. It is actually pulling away from Purple Perp at the moment. As that gap keeps increasing, and we have an exchange between MK and RWB Nav. Nav running wide and MK sending it up the inside, but will Nav take that line down? It doesn't appear to be so, but MK just had a slightly better run out of that corner, so MK moves up to P7 as they start lap 8 of 23. Looks like Nav just slightly outbroke himself, getting very close to that barrier, and Ando will slip on through to take P8 for the time being. This is a very action-packed race, wouldn't you agree, Leo?
Oh, I definitely do, too. As we can see, RW Nav getting into the wall there, getting onto the grass, slipping out a little bit. I'm noticing he's still on the medium tires. I'm wondering, since these other guys are on the softs, if it's just a tire compound thing or just got out of rhythm. I'm not too sure. He's fallen back quite a bit from what it looks like.
I'm not sure either. At this rate, the only people that know this stuff are probably going to be those drivers and the man himself, McNaughty, who put this race together. It's hard telling. We're just spectators here as we jump up towards the front of the grid where we have Wid, who is about 2 seconds behind Chief Apollo 11. Tires looking, they've seen better days. And actually, Slow-Mo, as this race is going on, how is everybody else's tire life looking? Who's going to have to consider a pit sooner than they would hope?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Wid's tires look pretty rough, so did Chief Apollo's. As you go back down the grid, really all the guys up front, until you get to Velvet Thunder, have tires that look pretty worn. That right front is really the one that's taken the brunt of the wear on this track here. If you look at, for example, Truth Serum, his front right is, I don't know, maybe a quarter left. So as we know with this new tire model that we have, you simply can't run them once they're gone like you could in the past. You just lose way too much time on that. So we're going to have to see some of these guys thinking about going into the pits before long.
And judging by the wear on Chief Apollo's front right tire, he might have another lap or two before that thing checks out, because it is just chunking away right now. But Chief Apollo is able to maintain a 2 1/4, almost 2.5 second gap between himself and Wid. So it is a big. Oh, and Ando goes in the wall in turn 1.
Oh.
Huge contact. Go and take a look at what happened here. So coming up towards the start-finish line, already had front end damage. Coming up into the braking zone, and looks like he may have just outbroke himself a little bit and picks up front right wheel damage for it. That is, It is not Ando's race right now.
June, I noticed something on the replay there. It looked like his brake pedal only went halfway. I don't know if that's a setting thing that he did or something. But it's a little strange. Maybe that's what made him outbrake himself, is that it only went halfway.
I didn't even consider that. Very astute of you, Leo. Honestly, it's hard telling. But as we jump on board with PDX Varial, who is part Team Goat Instinct on a controller, currently sitting in P11 overall for the Division A standings. You can find him on YouTube at Varial Racing 227. I also noticed that we had a car go into the box. Slow-Mo, which driver went into the pit? Oh, it was Talon.
Yep, that's Talon that went into the pit.
Alrighty, it looks like MK will follow suit, and Varial is going to stay out. So the first pit stop is in, judging at the point in the race. Oh, we got some 2 wide action between LeCabra and Pelias Pangolin. Oh, and Pelias just sends it a little too far in. Oh, that front right is done.
Yeah, it's completely done.
Wow. It looks like that back right's gonna be pretty close behind it too. So we might be at the point of the race where everybody is coming in and boxing. It also means if they jump on another pair of softs, they're gonna be driving very gingerly towards the end of the race. Looks like Chief Apollo and Wid have also gone into the box. I'm getting word from production that we just received a $4.99 super chat from Jimmy K9. Good luck, have fun. Thank you, Jimmy. That's very generous of you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And yeah, I definitely think they'll need all the luck. They are very much all over each other. Okay. And LeCabra going in, Ando going into the pits to get that damage taken care of and a fresh set of rubber on. And LeCabra pit really early to get off those mediums, so do you think we might see a 200 IQ race strategy here? Or do you think it may have just been a case of, I don't like these tires, I want to be on the softs? What's your guess, Leo?
I'm going to throw a third option at you. I forgot that was on the mediums. That's my other option.
You know what? I mean, I get that. But then I pose this question to you. Who qualifies on mediums?
I have no idea.
Exactly. Slow-mo, what's your thoughts?
No, none of them qualified on mediums. I think that was part of his strat. I think his thought was probably to see if he could hold out for the pit change a little bit longer than everybody else. Got out there, determined it wasn't working the way he wanted, and just jumped off him.
All right, but sorry, Leo. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say exactly what Slow-mo just said.
Lacabra
reset.
Can we get a replay of that? Okay, so we have Lacabra coming in towards the entrance to pit lane, trying to get on the brakes, and what happened here? Oh, just bumped the wall and oh my goodness, got ping-ponged.
You hate to see it. Came in a little too hot. Came in too hot and got reset, unfortunately.
But just think, it could have been worse because he could have spun in and wound up with a 3-second pit lane infringement. So I would take the damage.
I would as well.
Actually, now that I remember that it's heavy damage, and I'm also getting word from production that there is a chance of a 2-stopper, so this could shake up rather interestingly. We jump on board with Velvet Thunder, who is just revving the daylights out of this car. I honestly have yet to see anybody double shift this thing. And it looks like Velvet Thunder is also holding on to the current fastest lap with a 108.190. So, yeah, from a rocky start all the way up to P1, Velvet Thunder has definitely dusted himself off and is ready to get back into the mix. Got Wid behind him by just about a second. So definitely not out of the woods yet, but those two are starting to pull away from the rest of the grid as they go into the pits. Starting on lap 15, Velvet Thunder coming into turn 1, getting high up and bringing it back on down. No drama to speak of, and is, just cruising right now. Although Wid is starting to close that gap even more. The gap is now under 1 second. So can't relax too much, otherwise you're gonna wind up in P2. Making our way over and checking in on Ando, currently about 3 seconds behind RWB Nav and about 4.5 seconds ahead of BHR Polaris Pangolin. Coming across the line to start the 15th lap for him and making his way on down. Actually is closing in on Nav little by little, so depending on how he takes these corners, he might be able to give Nav a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, remember me? I'm here. As they head over towards the bridge, and we go and check on Wid, who has closed in on Velvet Thunder, getting that gap to just over 3/4 of a second, well within the slipstream range, and coming into the braking zone for turn 1. Taking it nice and neatly, avoiding the barrier and bringing it straight on down. The weight transfer from that first turn has to be insane.
It definitely is, too.
Did Velvet Thunder hit the wall too?
It sounded like it from our perspective here. It sounded like he hit the wall pretty good.
It did.
We'll see if he comes out with a 3-second penalty or some sort of thing. It's the fastest pit stop I've ever seen.
That was.
But yes, that turn 1 going downhill into that turn is also another deceiving one because you're coming down pretty quickly and can't tell the elevation changes and all the bumps and different undulating factors in the road here.
Right. But looks like Velvet Thunder will jump into P6 and is already looking to take P5 off of the Truth Serum. Yeah, Velvet Thunder's not playing anymore. It's go time. As we've got 7 laps left of this race. It's still anybody's race to win, to lose. This is impressive. Velvet Thunder had a rocky start, jumps up to P1, goes into the pits. Honestly, I thought he banged the wall going in there, but it appears he didn't, and comes out of the pits and is already right back into the fight. So hats off to Velvet Thunder. This is amazing viewing. We jump on up to Talon, who is currently sitting in P3, about 3 3/4 of a second behind Chief Apollo, but has a very healthy lead over Purple Perp in P4. Looks like did not take fuel, so I think that could be a contributing factor to these pit stops being so fast, because it's just the tire change and getting on out. And as the race keeps going, that fuel keeps depleting. This car is getting lighter. Now coming into the second part of the switchback section and taking good line. And let's go and take a look at the battle for P9 between Varial and Pelias Pangolin. Looks like Pelias giving way to Varial. Good show. I'll let Varial jump up into P9 for the moment. As they come across the bridge into the braking zone for the switchback, will there be any nonsense? Nope. Everything's nice and neat. That's what we like to see. And seems we had another driver going to the pits, Slow-Mo, who boxed.
I'm not sure. I was watching the battle between Velvet Thunder and the True Serum. Velvet actually got by him and went ahead and closed the door on that path. It looks like RWB Math may be in the pit. I'm still not 100% sure.
All right.
Who's got fresh tires?
Oh, and Velvet Thunder takes P5 after a very,
yeah, there you go.
I'd say rocky turn one, but was able to make it stick. Very well done. And Velvet Thunder is definitely not finished here. As we see Velvet Thunder and Truth have a nice heated exchange for P4. They've still got quite a bit of ground to clear before they can catch up to Purple Perp up in P4. My apologies, Velvet Thunder's in P5. And it looks like Purple Perp has also found a back marker in Darken Azrael, probably due to pit stops. And has quite a lot of ground to clear to catch up to Talon in P3, and only 4 laps to do it. So I think we're back into crunch time, folks. And as we jump on over to Pelias Pangolin, Varial has started to pull away. It looks like La Cabra is actually creeping up on Pelias as we speak. As they all come across to start lap 19 of 23. We're approaching the end game. So we might see some extra drama, some extra action, and we've got a yellow on the field. Cuomo, did you catch what happened?
I did not. No, I was actually riding along with Chief Apollo. I didn't see what happened. I'm going through. I don't see anybody off track, so I'm not sure.
Ooh, Ando's got quite a bit of damage.
That may have been what the yellow flag was coming from.
He's got front and rear, huh?
Yep, and it looks like it was Ando coming into turn 2, 3, near the pits, and gets on the grass, loses it. Ooh, able to drift it, get a little bit.
Good recovery, though.
Good recovery, yes.
Being in the way of the other drivers coming in, great showing there.
Yeah, if we can hop aboard number 2 with Chief Apollo, he is closing the gap on Wid, and it's 1.2 second gap, but boy, it does not look like that when you're in car.
We jump over to Chief Apollo and Wid, leaving the switchback section. If Chief Apollo gets a good run out of this corner, that could definitely close the gap even more. Looks like they both got about equally good gaps, so nothing really being taken away from that lead from Wid. And as they come into turn 1, this is all about corner exit and hitting your apexes now. We're 2 laps away from the checkered flag, and yeah, it's about to get a little dicey. Wouldn't you agree, Leo?
Oh, I definitely agree. I was looking at the tire difference between Chief Apollo and Wid here. I want to say Chief's got probably the better tire on there. Is that correct, Slow-Mo? If you're seeing
Well,
that?
I've flipped through a couple times. I can barely tell a difference between the two.
Okay.
It is really close. If anything, I think you're right. I think Wid does have a little bit better tire.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be a battle of tire life now. So whoever can, less than a second now, he's closed the gap to Wid. So essentially, if Chief Apollo can keep it consistent and not overwork them tires and get them heated up to the point where they start degrading even more, he does have a chance of catching Wid.
Ooh, and it looks like it won't be a moment too soon as they start the penultimate lap. That fuel light is now flashing. Oh, wait, maybe it's not going to be a game of tire life. It might be a game of who has more in the tank.
Well, that would be Wid.
Wid does have more fuel. Oh, this just got very interesting.
Yes,
The gap is now about 1.1 seconds, but it will close in again. And again, I've yet to see anybody double shift this car. I think double shifting may be the fuel saving play just to bring this thing home, because it's not just this lap. They have one more after this, but that gap is getting smaller and smaller. So if Wid can force Chief Apollo to push that car any harder, then he might be able to bait Chief Apollo into running out of fumes. But it's still too soon to tell. It really is. Leo, so I'm sure you've been in a position like this. You've got a car ahead of you, and you know you're right on them. Wid's fuel light just came on, and how are you going to survive this?
Being as cautious as possible, and also using that old saying, I know my car and the fuel gauge, I know what it can do. But as we see, Chief Apollo's fuel gauge is at, I don't even see a bar on there anymore. It's like a speck on there. So he's going to be pushing it. I'd be having so much anxiety, it wouldn't be funny right now.
Oh, I would too. Those tires are gone. That fuel is almost gone. It's do or die, and I don't think the car has as much fighting spirit in it as Chief Apollo does in himself.
It's gonna run out as we get to the top of the hill.
Oh no. Which means he has to hurry across the line or he'll lose P2 to Talon. Oh, and will Chief Apollo have enough to get across the line? Well, first Wid comes and takes the checkered flag, and it looks like
he did run out.
He did run out.
He coasted across the finish line.
He did know his car.
He had just enough. That is, I don't even know how to describe that. Talon comes across, takes P3, Velvet Thunder takes P4. We got a battle between Purple Perp and the True Serum, and it's too wide across the line, separated by 0.06 of a second. Purple Perp taking the lead by a nose. Making our way over to MK, coming across the line to take P7, and those tires are cooked.
Yeah, they're donezo.
Followed by PDX Varial, Lacabra. Oh my goodness, Lacabra's car is banged up right now.
Ando just made a move around Elias Pango at the last minute.
Yep. Guess it's the perfect time to make last-minute decisions. Let's see if we can see what happened to Lacabra. Nope. Looks like it happened a while back.
It was the Ando move.
It was the Ando move. My apologies. Yep. Just center up the inside, and well done, Ando, to take that P10. There was a lot more damage than I expected. But congratulations to Wid gaining 3 places and taking the race win. Now let's move on over and take a look at the provisional race standings. So taking P1 will be Wid with a total race time of 26 minutes, 49 seconds, but did not secure the fastest lap. Followed by Chief Apollo 11 and P2, down by almost 2 seconds. Followed by Talon, rounding out our podium for this evening with a fastest lap of 1 minute 8 seconds, 0.612, followed by Velvet Thunder, who did take the fastest lap at a 1 minute 8.190, followed by Purple Perp rounding out our top 5. And then moving down the order, we have S7R to True Serum, MK in P7, PDX Varial in P8. Making our way down the grid, we have Lacabra 809 in P9, followed by Ando, BHR Pelias Pangolin, PHG Shaggy Doo 88, RWB Nav, and then rounding out our grid will be Darkened Azrael. That was a cracking race. Like, it was suspenseful, it was dramatic, it was bumper to bumper. It was just a lot of things. I can't make heads or tails of it, but it was a great race nonetheless. And now let's go and get a word in with our podium finishers. We will be starting with Talon. Talon, how are you feeling after all of that?
A little relieved, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. So you guys had the extra week of practice, and just like I asked in the interview for Division B, what were your thoughts when you saw the combination leading to now?
Yeah, I remember when I saw the car, I was super excited. Then I saw the track and I was less excited. Definitely not one of my stronger tracks. So thankfully, the extra week worth of practice really helped kind of whittle away at the weaknesses I had and made it drivable.
Glad to hear that. Slomo, any questions for our P3 recipient?
Yeah, Talon, congratulations on the third place finish there. Really good race. Tell us a little bit about your strategy. I mean, were you happy with the way that it executed? Do you think there was anything you could have done differently to climb up the podium a little further?
I mean, honestly, my race was pretty straightforward. Had you asked me yesterday if I would have taken a P3 for this and run with it, and I would have said yes. I realized qualifying was going to be really important. I think I won a 108.2 or something in qual, which I was pretty happy with. It's only about a tenth slower than my best lap. So just based on my practice drives, it was either pit on lap 11 or lap 12, get tires, get a little bit of fuel, and just try to make those tires last for that 12 lap stint. So I decided to pit on lap 11. And I know Wid and Apollo pit on 12, and those guys were already gapping me, so excuse me, I wasn't even worried about them, to be honest. So when things shook out, just ended up kind of in P3, and it was just manage the tires and try to get them to survive till the end. The right front was completely dead with the last two right-handers, so that was a little painful, but thankfully there was enough of a gap there that I was able to bring it home.
Yeah, you weren't the only person having challenges with your tires at the end. Obviously you manage your fuel really well. I don't know if and maybe you'll see it in the replay, you'll see Chief Apollo basically ran out of fuel and coasted across the finish line. So he cut it pretty close. So well done. Great strategy. Leo, what do you have for Talon today?
Oh, I just want to say congratulations, Talon. Look like, you did make the right calls and everything. I would like to ask, what was the hardest part of this combination that you had difficulties with?
I mean, from a race perspective, it was that left-hander just before the pit lane. That's one of those where if you hit it good, you can gain a few tenths easily right there. But if you don't get it good, you either lose a few tenths or you smack into the wall. But the part that made me most nervous was pit entry and pit exit. It's a little tricky on this track, so it was just a matter of taking it a little extra slower, eating a little bit extra time, getting in and getting out, and avoiding that huge penalty.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was the other way around, everybody would have a lot more problems.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, again, congratulations, and hopefully you get to rest up for the rest of the night.
Yep, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Congrats to Wid and Apollo. They were untouchable from my perspective, so congrats to them, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good
Great
night,
race,
Talon.
buddy.
All right, making our way up the podium. Let's have a word with Chief Apollo 11. Chief, how you doing?
Doing well, guys. Yeah, congrats to Talon, congrats to Wid. That was a good race. That was a fun race.
All right, Chief, I gotta ask, what is that track like wearing a VR headset?
It's pretty. I like it a lot because you can kind of see the whole track. So the cars, no matter where they're at in the track, you can kind of track their headlights, and you also can tell, like going up those S turns, where the other cars are, and it just kind of from the ambient light. And it's an open top, which is always fun in VR. So very enjoyable. I like driving the Radical in VR, that's for sure.
All right, well, that was not the reaction I was expecting. I thought it would have been nothing short of terrifying. But Slow-Mo, any questions?
Well, yeah, Chief, first of all, congratulations on the second place finish there. Really well done. We were riding along board with you for the last, I don't know, lap and a half, and fuel became, I don't want to say a problem because obviously you finished in second, but it could have gone worse. Through your practice, was your strategy right on par with where you wanted? Were you surprised you were running out of fuel there on the last lap?
I knew whenever I went into the pits, I got a little jumpy on the trigger finger, and I knew I hit it early, so I tried doing some short shifting. I knew I was going to be close. Coming out of the pits, I think I was like probably 0.7 or 0.8 laps short, so I had to make some up. But when sometimes that goes hand in hand with tire saving, so you can kind of do both at the same time, coasting in turns, being easy on the throttle. So. Yeah, it was close. I mean, I rolled it across the finish line there at the end, if you saw.
Yeah, we did. And, towards the end of the second to last lap there, it looked like you were really closing in on Wid. Were you kind of going, at what point did you make the decision to save fuel as opposed to going for the lead?
I tried to do it pretty early often in that second stint to make up for it because I knew I'd have to push at the end. And there at the end, I felt like I had maybe a lap or half a lap better tires than Wid did, which was allowing me to catch up. But the way it is, a couple bad turns and you get off if you lose the grip, your tires just kind of slide and chews them up quick. So there by the last lap, I think we were on even tires. And then if you saw I just couldn't make up that gap. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate, but nothing wrong with the second place in this scenario. Leo, what do you have for Chief?
Congratulations, Chief. Getting up here at the podium stand and everything.
Thanks.
Yeah. Guess my question would be, were you pretty happy with the qualifying time that you put in?
Yeah, I wanted to be in the sevens, right? And I was able to run a 0.82 right out of the gate. Went into the pits, and coming out of the pits, I got damaged, so I lost a little bit of time there. So really, I just spent a couple laps burning as much fuel as possible, then dipped in there. And when I came out for my last stint, I think I crossed the finish line with like 2 seconds to go to get my final lap in. So then I just pushed as hard as I could and ended up sticking it, getting the pole. And qualifying was huge because there wasn't a lot of overtaking opportunities here. So I knew I had to be up at the front if I wanted a chance.
Right on. Well, again, congratulations. Great fight out there.
Yep. Thank you guys, and shout out to Shams Designs. I rocked his livery this week, and congratulations to Wid, and take care, announcer. You guys do a great job.
Thank you, Chief Apollo. We will see you in round 3, and hope you'll be excited with whatever it is.
Great job, Chief.
All right, now making our way over to our race winner for round 2, Wid. Wid, how you feeling right now?
I don't know. I'm tired. I'm sweaty. I'm really happy I could win that one after the race at Watkins. So I really wanted that one.
That was a great showing from you tonight. Now, I got to ask, because I didn't see anybody do it. Did you double shift that Radical whatsoever during the race?
No, I had heard people talking about that, but I have very slow trigger fingers, I guess you could say. So I can't even I can occasionally do it, but a lot of times I just get like tripped up and it doesn't even double shift for me. So I didn't even bother.
I gotcha. Slow-mo, any questions for our race victor tonight?
Yeah, Wid, congratulations on the win tonight. Through qualifying, I knew you had a really good chance to win this race. It looked like your strategy was good. Tell us a little bit about that last lap. Could you see Chief Apollo kind of, creeping on you, and did that bother you at all and change your strategy is how you approach the final lap?
So I mean, I knew going into this race that this would be a very hard track to pass on without kind of barging your way through. So assuming everyone's clean, I wasn't too worried about it with how much time he was making up on me each lap. I knew he was faster and I could tell that he was doing better at saving his tires. But I felt like if I just kind of kept consistent, didn't burn my tires out, that he wouldn't have enough of a pace differential to overtake me at any point.
Yeah, well done. And it's funny, we were actually, I was personally flipping back and forth between you guys in that last lap, and you could barely tell the difference in the tires. But what was a big difference, and I don't know if you know this, Chief actually ran out of gas and he coasted across the finish line. So, I mean, you definitely had more fuel. I don't know if that less fuel maybe is why he was creeping up on you so quick or not, but great job. Leo, what do you have for win tonight?
Congratulations, Wid, on that win. Coming back from what happened last week, which is unfortunate. To expand on Slow-Mo's question there, were you playing any like kind of cat and mouse game with Chief there at the end to see if you can hold him back or anything like that?
No, not really. That track and that car, they're both difficult enough to drive that it's just like I'm just trying and focused on just remaining consistent and not making mistakes. That's the biggest thing. I was getting a bit worried when I was catching up to Varial towards the, I guess, early or middle of the second stint, but he ended up pitting. And then after that, I was like, I saw the gap back and I felt like, you know what, I might be able to do this. So, it was, I mean, I attributed a lot to just luck. I mean, that 3-second penalty that he got was pretty brutal. But, I'll take what I can get.
Right on. Well, again, congratulations, and we'll see what next week's got in store for y'all.
Thanks so much, guys, and I appreciate racing. It's been really fun today. So yeah, have a good night.
Have a great night, Wid. Congratulations on the race victory. Now, with all of that, please stay tuned for one more intermission. And when we come back to you, we'll have the standings for Division A and also the reveal for next week's round of festivities. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, we've had an incredible night of racing. We've had drama. We've had last-minute decisions and last-minute overtakes. But now let's go and take a look at those Division A results. Now, the provisional Division A results has Wid in P1 with 41 points, followed by Chief Apollo 11 with 36 points, Lacabra 809 rounding out our top three with 27, followed by Talon in P4, The True Serum in P5, followed by Purple Perp 44, Velvet Thunder, then MK in P8. Moving on down the grid, we have Ando, we have PHG Shaggy Doo, and PDX Burial in a tie for P10 with 4 points. And we have a three-way tie for P12 between BHR Polias Pangolin, Dark and Adriel, and RWB Nav. So it is still anybody's game. The top 14 across both days move on to the finals, but either way, let's go and see what our drivers are up against with round 3, which will be an elimination round. Starting off with Division B, our Division B drivers for the elimination round will be at Sardinia Layout C in reverse in the Subaru WRX STI Isle of Man. That is a beautiful car. That is a beautiful.
I love that Subaru.
Oh, that's such a fun car to drive. They will be doing 23 laps, racing mediums and racing softs available, with racing softs as the required tire. They will have 5 times tire, 2 times fuel. They will have the bop on and a 10-minute qualifier with a grid start and false start check. That is going to be a fun one.
Yes, it will be.
Taking our way over to Division A. Let's go that. Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
so
my.
we've got Division A doing 20 laps of Grand Valley Highway 1, 20 laps in the GTR Nismo GT 500 2016 with a 10-minute qualifier, grid start false start check, brake balance will be allowed. Heavy damage, 9 times tire, 3 times fuel, and they'll have the racing mediums and the racing hards available to them, but the racing hards are the required compound. Slomo, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, that's going to be fun. I mean, it's been a few seasons since we've seen any competition here, and this track always brings good racing. There is a lot of room to have a lot of fun here.
Couldn't agree more. What about you, Leo? What are your thoughts on this one?
I absolutely love this combo. I mean, it's a Group 2 car, if I'm not mistaken. High downforce. Some of these turns are pretty tight, so it might get a little sketchy, but man, that tire wear is what's got me concerned a little bit. So them hards are going to be what I would stick to the most, but all in all, this is going to be a fantastic race.
Yeah, this is going to be one to watch, but that Division B race, that is going to be so much fun.
Oh, definitely.
So,
you and I have definitely ran that Isle of Man a bunch of times, and I'm excited to see who uses that DRS button.
Oh, yeah, there's the DRS button on that. Yeah, either way, round 3 is going to be a great one for all of our drivers. It might be an elimination round, but my goodness. Now, round 2 will continue tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PST, and any other conversions for your local time zone as needed. And all rounds will be streamed here at youtube.com/@McNaughty. Yeah, I'm just glancing over, and it seems like the drivers are quite pleased with what they've got in store for them. So any closing remarks, Leo?
None that I could think of off the top of my head. Other than that, thank y'all for the great night that we had.
Slomo, any closing remarks?
Big shout out to everybody watching, sharing the feed with their friends. We appreciate all you guys, all the great comments in the feed. Thank you guys. Toon, before I forget, wasn't there a shout out? Didn't we get something in the break there?
Yes, we did. J-Dog joined the channel at the all-star level. Thank you so much, J-Dog. Great to have you a part of the all-star community. And enjoy that little crown next to your name. But with all of that said, it is time for this show to come to a close. Once again, round 2 continues tomorrow afternoon. Now, if you want to keep up with any of us off this broadcast, you can find Leo here on YouTube at Leo2443, where he streams Gran Turismo and Satisfactory as of late. You can find Slow-Mo here on YouTube as well at GT-Slow-Mo, where he does, GT and also Warzone, I believe.
A little bit. Yep, a little bit.
A little bit. All right, a little bit. Just making sure. Also, he is an avid GTA 5 online golfer. So if you have GTA 5, he likes golf.
That's a fact.
And you can find me on YouTube and or Twitch at VTuneNix, where I stream a variety of stuff from Baldur's Gate to really whatever I'm feeling. So until next time, it has been a pleasure to have your company, and we will see you all tomorrow and next week for more racing action. Good night for now.